Om Namo Bhavaya Cha Rudraya Cha Namah Sharvaya Cha Pashupataye Cha Namo Neelagrivaya Cha Shitikantaya Cha Namah Kavartine Cha Yuktakeshaya Cha Namah Sahasrakshaya Cha Sharatanmane Cha Namo Girishaya Cha Shibhishtaya Cha Namo Meerushtamaya Cha Shumate Cha Namo Rashvaya Cha Vamanaya Cha Namo Brihate Cha Varshiyase Cha Namo Vriddaya Cha Samvriddvane Cha Namo Agriyaya Cha Pradamaya Cha Namah Ashave Cha Tiraya Cha Namah Shikriyaya Cha Shipyaya Cha Namah Umyaya Cha Vasvanyaya Cha Namah Shrotasyaya Cha Vipyaya Cha. Right. How are we all feeling? I can't hear you. A bit louder. Yes. So today is Pratosham. So yeah, that was the fifth Anubhagam of Rudra, for those who are wondering. So that is to say, Mahadev, Shivji Bhagwan is also with us. So to that I say, Thanaturiyan Shivane Potri, Yanatavarkum Iraiva Potri, Om Namah Shivaya. Awesome. So I think people will start coming in as we start our second session. So let me go on to that. So for our second session, it is about positioning Hindus in the global political sphere. So it will be chaired by Canadian MP Chandrakant Arya, but we also have speakers such as Karthik Arasu and Dr. Pararajasingham Nandakumar. So could I please invite the chairperson and the speakers onto the stage now. Of Parliament in Canada. So Chandrakant Arya has been a Canadian Member of Parliament since 2015. His motion in the Canadian Parliament proclaimed November as the National Hindu Heritage Month across Canada was unanimously supported. Yes, everyone from every party, Conservative, Liberal, NDP, the Bloc, they all supported it. So you've got MP Arya who made a statement in the Canadian Parliament on the swastika to distinguish it from the Nazi symbol of hatred or the Hakenkreuz or the hooked cross. He made history by making a statement in Kannada in the Parliament. This is the first in any Parliament outside of Bharat that you had a parliamentarian or a politician speaking in the Kannada language. So MP Arya has a bachelor's degree in engineering and a master's in business administration, both from Bharat. He was an executive in defense technology company before he entered politics. So I'll hand over to our chairperson.
Namaskar. It's a great pleasure to be here. I was a bit reluctant to come over here because the parliament is in session and obviously we are very, very busy. But Lakshmi Sawant, I met her a few months back in Delhi when I went to meet India's foreign minister Jaishankar. Then I also happened to meet Rashmi and seeing her enthusiasm and the pressure from my friends in Canada that Chandra will have to attend this, so I had to come. And I'm glad that we are hosting this session, especially the positioning of Hindus in the global political sphere. At the end of the day, everything boils down to politics. Whether we have any policy of any government, the policy of any society, it all depends on the political strength any interest group has. What the Hindus, in whichever country they are from, the strength they have in the political process, with or without representation, I will come to that later. That is very important to make their presence felt. And what happens in the individual countries, individual society, the cumulative effect of that will place the Hindus at the appropriate place at the global political sphere level. We have two of my friends, new friends. One is Karthik Arasu. He is from the Multicultural Affairs Advisor. He is the Multicultural Affairs Advisor to the leader of the Liberal Party of Australia. And we have Medical Doctor Pararajasingham Nandakumar from Sri Lanka. You know, Australia is a good case study. Sri Lanka is also a good case study. And Canada, in my view, is one of the best case studies of where and how Hindus can be effective or have to be effective, and where our voice should be heard, can be heard, and what needs to be done there. Those are the kind of things briefly we will touch whenever we make our presentation. My colleagues can talk about Australia and Ceylon, Sri Lanka, and I can talk about Canada. Because of the limited time, I will touch upon the specific thing that I'm going to speak later on the strategic position of Hindus in Western democracies, with Canada as the prime example. However, as I do in most of the places I have traveled across Canada, Canada is a very big country, though the population is small. Wherever I travel, I always encourage people to ask questions. And that is when we can know what is the expectation of the audience, what is the kind of thoughts they have, what is the kind of questions they have, and that can give us opportunity to expand on the various thoughts we have and try to provide answers. One thing I want to mention is that this has seen happening in Canada, has seen happening here too, and happening in other countries. When it comes to the language, whenever I go to various groups in Canada, I always emphasize we are 830,000 strong with temporary foreign workers. We are close to 1 million strong, but we have come from all different parts of the world, from every single country in South Asia, India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, from several countries in Africa, South Africa, Mauritius, Tanzania, Kenya, and many other countries in Africa. From Caribbean, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and as far as from Fiji Islands. So we have come to Canada, and I'm sure the same thing is with Australia, that we have come from so many different places. So many times, Hindu and India are considered synonyms, which we should not. However, irrespective of where we have come from, I am from India, South Indian city of Bangalore. Doesn't matter where the Hindus have come from, we have the fondness, the connection that to India, that is there. But Hindus and India are not synonyms many a times. And Hindus and Hindi are not synonyms too. And when I went to Canada for the first time 19 years back. Anyway, I can talk about it later because the time is limited for the introduction, but quickly, I just want to touch on that. When we first went there, me, my wife and our son, we did not know anybody. We had no family, no friends, no name, no phone number, no job. We just landed in Canada 19 years back. The first thing I joined was the Kannada Sangha, that's my language, Kannada. And the second institution I joined was Hindu Society. Then when I wanted to join an Indo-Canadian organization, there was something called India-Canada Association. When I went there, one thing I immediately noticed, there was no South Indian there, because everybody was talking only in Hindi. So, we'll touch upon those things, but first I will request my new friend Karthik Arasu to speak on how to position Hindus in Western democracy, where we are significantly growing as a community. Thank you.
The subject is how to position Hindus in Western democracy. I strongly believe before we see how, I think we should know and understand the why. Why to position ourselves so strongly in the Western democracy. And as my slides say, some statistics, Hindus are one of the fastest growing religions in Australia. We are 2.7% of the population, 2.7% of the population right now. We are strong in various aspects of the society. We contribute culturally, economically, to the society in many different ways. We were one of the highest tax-paying communities and lowest crime rate. I think this goes to say not only in Australia, pretty much everywhere we are there. But yet, we are still not there politically successful. And we are growing fast, but we are staying away from politics. There is no specific reason for it. First of all, as Hindus, we want to settle down. We have a very strong view and outlook how we have to be in the society. We settle down. By the time we take to start concentrating in politics, I think it goes forward and becomes too late in some cases. In 2017, there was a very derogatory, ridiculous advertisement done by Meat and Livestock Australia, big organization. They did an advertisement. They had every single god and religious, significant religious leaders present on the table, and they showed them in a very mocking, derogatory way. Now, community rose up against this advertisement, and we all wrote a lot of complaints to the body which is Advertising Standards Bureau. Believe it or not, all our complaints, however articulated it was rejected. It was rejected, and the reason was, it was just humor. You have to start understanding humor. That's what the board essentially told us, you just have to take it as a joke and just move on. But then we, as a community, searched what can we do next? What can we do next? We went for appeal. There's a very difficult process for appeal, and there was about, I think, 2 organizations, I think HOTA and OFBJP filed appeal to the board, and I myself did an appeal in an individual capacity. So we wrote the points, what we thought, why it's not a humor for Hindus to show our God in a very derogatory, ridiculous way. And the independent reviewer agreed with our points. And eventually we won. I kept this slide to showing the actions and outcomes which happened later. Now, we won after a big struggle. And this particular body had a very established history of mocking others. And they mocked vegans and vegetarians the previous year, and they mocked the indigenous community the year before, and all of them failed in bringing them, removing the ad, but we passed. The ad is banned by Advertising Standards Bureau. The judgment came on the critical point. They addressed Ganesha as elephant in the room. So my question to them in the appeal was, are you addressing Ganesha as the elephant, which is very derogatory for Hindus, billions of Hindus who see him as God, not as an animal, or are you addressing Ganesha, the problem in the room, which is the elephant in the room? And the board had no answer. They are stuck between the rock and a hard place, and they have to accept in a way, it is wrong, it is derogatory, and it's not humor. Humor is one laughs for a joke, and humor is not when one laughs at the expense of others. They agreed and they banned the ad. This actually challenged me in many ways personally. How much are we advocating? How much are we, being in positions and they're speaking to policymakers to put our thoughts, our voices here. Now, you see this on the right hand side are the pictures. I'm not sure that everyone can see clearly. They are the community panel of the Advertising Standards Bureau. What's obvious in this picture is we don't have a representation there. We don't have a single Hindu sitting on the board. Yet they made a judgment for us. Yet they thought it's humor for us. They thought it's okay to have that advertisement. Now, like this, there are hundreds of boards across Australia which we lack representation. It's not there. It's not the fault of the board. We don't actively engage. There was another issue in the locality where I live, and there was a temple, Hindu temple, which was vandalized, robbed, firebombed. Actually, 3 times they were firebombed. And yet they were getting declined in all the grant applications they were making. And I knew at that time Assistant Minister for Home Affairs, whom I convinced to travel to that temple and see firsthand, which he did. He spoke to the community there and he understood what they are going through. So he decided he told them, you apply for the grant again and you will get it. It's very straightforward. He was in charge of the grant at that time, federally. But they got rejected again. They got rejected twice for that grant. And I spoke to him again. I said, they got rejected again. What are we going to do about it? He intervened. Big credit to him. He intervened and then he approved the grant for it. For that, he was taken to Auditor General and everything. He stood by the community and the community stood by him. Now, during this process, he was saying you should come and join, be in politics. There is no point you're standing outside the door. You have to come inside the room. You're using borrowed voices. You're asking me to speak for you, come inside and be your own voice. which motivated me and inspired me in a way, and I left my business, which I passionately did and loved it, and I joined him as his advisor. Then we were in government, I joined him as his multicultural affairs advisor. Soon after I joined, there was an issue. The Victorian government, the state which I am from, they were planning to ban swastika. So they were planning to ban swastika because it's a Nazi hate symbol. There was no understanding of what swastika is. They didn't bother to understand. They have already started preparing to ban. That's when the community got involved. Various community organizations, various individuals in their own capacity. So I, for my part, I spoke to the minister at that time, and I told him, as his advisor, I told him this is wrong. You need to do something about it. So what he did is, even though he's a federal minister, he convened a meeting with this deputy leader of the party who was actually spearheading this campaign to ban swastika. He is from Jewish origin. So he convened a meeting with him, the Hindu community, and also from the Executive Council of Jewry, which is one of the highest board of the Jewish community. They understood why we are so passionately wanting to not have any reference of swastika and any negativity in the same space. They understood, and then they removed the word swastika. If you see swastika, we lost swastika many years ago. It's taken away from us by just one translation gone wrong. Mein Kampf, which is Hitler's autobiography, was translated by, I think, an Irish Catholic priest. He translated the entire book from German to English. Some words he could not find an English replacement. He kept the German version of it. I was thinking to pinch that 1 minute and this thing, but I forgot. So, but instead he kept swastika, only swastika alone for Hakenkreuz translation. But in other German words, my learned from Germany is here, but the other German symbols, like Christian cross is kept as Christian cross, Winken cross is kept as angle cross, but only the hooked cross is kept as swastika. Because of that, Hindus are still paying the price. So this actually gave us a platform where we can communicate directly with the ministers and the powerful policy makers. And now the government is making sure that swastika is not referred as a Nazi hate symbol, and it's called as Hakenkreuz, the actual name it is. Put some challenges and recommendations there. And because my time is up, I'm going to speed through this. What we lack, if you sum it up, we are not in the system. We are not communicating with the policy makers. We are not communicating with other community organizations. We are not communicating with wider community. We are not articulating enough. We are doing it in our own silos. We are doing fantastic job within our communities, but we are not going outside. We are not challenging ourselves to go and tell our stories, positive, bring them on board. We are lacking that. We are lacking a unified body, structurally, where we can all come together like this. This is a fantastic platform. I really thank the organizers for giving us this platform. And I should thank Rashmi, Shushant, who are doing a fantastic job. Like they're coordinating this. I wish I'm in your age doing all these things. They are actually inspiring us. The next generation of us inspiring us. So this is what we need to do. We need to get actively involved in politics. We should not stay away from politics. It's not something a taboo or something. We should actively get involved in politics. And when we get actively involved, this is one of the best days in my life. I met Bharatia's Prime Minister. I met in the capacity of the advisor for the leader of the opposition. In his delegation, there was 5 of us in the room, and I was the only Bharatiya-born person sitting from Australian side, meeting the Prime Minister of Bharat. In that capacity, it was a very big honor for me. And I thank both my bosses, the leader of the opposition and shadow minister, for giving me that question and challenging me every day. And this is what we need to do. We need to actively engage, where we can question ourselves. And the question will come towards us. We don't need to push it. It will come towards us when we actively participate. And I should thank all the community organizations like Hindu Council, HOTA, so many community organizations and individuals who are doing a fantastic job in this to bring us to the front and sitting at the back and as a guiding light. Thank you all for listening, and hope we can take something from this.
Vanakkam everybody, Namaste. Swamis, dear Hindu brothers and sisters. I am coming from Sivabhumi. It's called as Sivabhumi Saint Trumula 2000 years ago. And also I am proud to give this opportunity for me. It's Armuvan Navalar Forum. It's Armuvan Navalar born, my same hometown in Jaffna, in northern part of the Sri Lanka. I am very thankful for organizers this opportunity, and also I give a painful story of Sri Lankan Hindus, and we have faced a lot of challenges. So this is our story. Today my topic is navigating adverse political environment and safeguard Hindu interest. Yes, the focus of our conferences. These are the mission, all the themes. Yes, I also believe where is the Dharma, there is the victory. That's I believe. That's why I am presenting here. So, in this organization, in Saiva Mahasabha, I am the General Secretary and also founder. And it's a precursor organization, Dawn of Humanity, in Tamil called Sivathamal Manidavriya Kalagam. I was a medical student, 2003, young youth group, university youth group. We have formed this because in childhood onward, I inspired Swami Vivekananda's thoughts and Arumon Navla thoughts. I am studied at Jaffna Hindu College. It's 1890, Swami Vivekananda visited my school. Now also statue is there, so I am inspired that. And also see in the war affected town, so many organizations are working. All are Western world, Western originated or Christianity organizations. So our people think the humanitarian organizations are Christianity or other religion. So I formed the Dawn of Humanity with Hindu based. So we are the refugee camps, we are humanitarian service, so many women cadet families, children, no free school, few toilets, very less sanitary facility. That's 10 years we are better in the war affected community and also same Indian origin upcountry community. Then 2013, gathered together with the professionals, journalists, other academics, farmers, fishermen, everybody all together we are formed the northeast based and also all Sri Lankan based all Ceylon Saiva Mahasabha. That's our vision. The actors organization, save the Saivanese organization in the Sri Lanka, save uplift, enrich lives of the Hindus, turn religious, social and cultural and economical aspect. So we are working all aspects as a low resource setting. No state government support and also some threats. So these are our aims you see. Mainly we are the save the vulnerable community and also Hindu organization and common ground and save the society. And also we are done the conferences, libraries and Hindu Dharma classes all over the Sri Lanka, mainly northeast part of the Sri Lanka, the northern corners, mainly grassroots villages. Yeah, these are the milestones we achieved 2003 to 2023. In Sri Lanka, we have only one Adinam. Adinam means, you know, the madams in the Nallai Adinam in Jaffna, not in the eastern part of upcountry. We are created that the last 10 years in the Tirunavakarasar Adinam and Tenkaile Adinam. You know that Trincomalee is a very famous, enriched, ancient city of the Hindu city in Sri Lanka. And also so many conferences and COVID works and humanitarian works in these 10 years. Now we have thousands of members all over the northeast and all over the country. These are some pictures. You know that the bottom of that you can see the Almonavla statue. Last year we have a 200 years anniversary conducted last year, and also we have Shiva statues, Shivalinga and Maheswara statues in the coastal areas, because very threatening nowadays that areas convert to infiltrate other regions. So we are putting that you can see, and also for our sannyasis in northern part of the Sri Lanka, eastern part of the Sri Lanka, and middle part, the upcountry, and rebuilt the Kirimalayadinam after 50 years. After that also be done, and humanitarian work, and also some women empowered projects also be done. We have a small factory for the cottage industry like that, give an opportunity for women-headed families, and also nutritional program for the pregnant and children. These are the photos. You can see what we can do, and also volunteerism. We are applicable volunteerism and padayatras, conferences we are conduct annually. Okay, we come to the themes. We are focusing the main 4 areas. We are consider the themes. Mainly, we are now the problem we are faced the archaeological infiltration. That's why we are working there, and the livelihood programs and knowledge practice of the Hindu faith, establish the libraries, educational institutes, museums, and also organize certification of festivals. These are the main areas we are focused here. Okay, these are today's safeguard the interest. Yes, political legal aspect, and political cultural aspect, psychosocial aspect, and post war rehabilitation. There are 4 areas we want to focus. Why? In the 1948, our percentage of Hindus 25%, now is 12.5. You see, the 81 also little increase, and dramatically we are decreased. Forceful reaction of the Indian origin Hindu Tamils in 1950. After the war, most of the people are forcefully, and due to the war situation, they are now also they are gone. So our population very much going down. So our very pathetic situation in Sri Lanka that you can see. And also we have Hindus have no equal power. We have asked Indo-Lanka agreement in the 1987, not implemented. We have lack of power division. Okay. These are the challenges we face. You can see clear conversion, archaeological site vandalism, and so many Shiva temples converted in the Buddhist temples and destroyed. You can see the photos that Shivalinga is a recently happened. Shivalinga discovered in one of the archaeological sites. Now is Buddhist temple are built there in Mulativu. Last war happened in this area and destroyed in the Bavaniya. Some are we rebuilt, but even though day to day, every overnight, coming in the Hindus areas, the Buddhist temples are coming. Yes, and also, for other religions also, in Triketishwaram, it's Armana indicated that then we are rebuilt. The Portuguese is wholly destroyed. Now also, Triketishwaram arch destroyed by Christian, Catholic Church began that Christian people are destroyed. Likewise, it's happened all over the 3, and sorry, and also these are the problems we are faced. Gender violence, female-headed families, and also very common in the suicide after the war affected community. Very high amount of malnutrition among children and pregnant ladies. So these are the problems. So I come at a point, my time up. Like within 30 seconds, I will finish. So key message for the world Hindu community: we want to preserve our archaeological site. Please, you send the message all over the world, mainly the Bharat community. The UNESCO had Triketishwaram and Trikoneshwaram, both the UNESCO heritage site, and institutional development of the Hindu structures, and also women empowerment and advocacy and lobby in our issues. That's the main, more important things for, I humbly request all Hindu society all over the world. Yes, it is the ancient by Pancha Ishwaras. You see, in all over the part of the Sri Lanka, have a Pancha Ishwara. In our Trimuna's word, Ontre Kulam Urbanate. We are the whole Hindu family. It's a 2000 years ago, Trimula said, give it. Thanks once again. I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I think Simon, introduction or anything, if you thank to account, I'm very happy to. Very thankful for you. Thanks again. Nandri, Vanakkam.
Namaskar again. I'm going to speak on the strategic position of Hindus in Western democracies with considerable representation. Basically, I'm going to speak about Canada as an experiment, and that applies to most Western democracies. One thing is the size of the community matters. However, just having large number of Hindus in any democracy, Western democracy, does not automatically mean that we have the same influence in that country. Two examples I can give. Let me take the example of Canada itself. Including the skilled temporary foreign workers like engineers, doctors, etc., who have come temporarily. We are close to 1 million strong in Canada. We have 4 Hindu members of parliament. Out of 338 members in our House of Commons. Though we have 4 members of parliament, there is only one, that's me, who speaks about the Hindu Canadians. That doesn't matter. The point is that the population of Hindus again is close to 1 million, 4 MPs. The population of Pakistani Canadians is 300,000, 305,000 if I am not wrong. They have 4 MPs again. The population of Jewish Canadians is again around 300,000. They have 8 members of parliament. The population of the Sikh Canadians is around 770,000. They have 11 members of parliament. The point is that we are very much underrepresented, and we can't blame Canada, we can't blame Canadians, we can't blame Canadian political structure, we can't blame Canadian society. We have to blame ourselves. The mistake is with us. And I keep saying in Canada that we Hindu Canadians, we are one of the most successful communities by any socio-economic standards. Highly educated community. And I keep telling people, most of my colleague MPs, I tell them, hey, when you go back to your constituencies, ask the local police what percentage of criminals are Hindu Canadians. The answer should be 0 or close to 0. So we are highly educated. We are good in socio-economic indicators. We keep a low profile. We go to work from morning, 9 in the morning till 5 in the evening. Come back and focus on our children's education. And once in maybe 2 weeks, once in a month, maybe we go to temple, and that's it. So the problem is with us. And as I gave the numerical example of the Pakistani Canadian community or the Jewish Canadian community, numbers is not very much important. Let me give another example. Ahmadiyya Muslim community is very small. I don't know, maybe around 50,000 or less, I guess. They don't have any MP. But they are so politically involved that the policies of all political parties in Canada are for Ahmadiyya Muslims. See, there's no relationship between the representation of the community in the electoral system as an elected official, but having the policies of all political parties, that is to their interest. That's what the Ahmadiyya community has achieved. So, it is good to have political representation, it is good to have more number of elected officials, but that does not automatically mean that our interests are protected. Anyway, quickly I will go through another point. Political engagement, as I indicated earlier, does not mean that we need to have elected officials, but we need representation at every single level. I've traveled across Canada, meet community leaders, Hindu community leaders, and I keep telling them, they all say, Chandraji, you have to take a national, you have to set up a national organization to lead. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because it's very difficult to get every Hindus under one single banner, because that is the nature of us. We speak different languages, we don't have one ritual, we don't have one holy book, we don't have one single religious custom, we don't have one festival. You know, I come from South India. For us, the new year is somewhere in March and April, what we call as Yugadi. For many of you, Diwali is the new year. So instead of that, I keep telling that, let's focus on the local institutions, local elected officials. Let's get more Hindus into the school bodies, school trustees, local municipal corporation, maybe the provincial legislature, maybe then the federal legislature, federal parliament. So that is how we can. However, some may point out that, oh Chandra, we are so small in our district or in our constituency, we can't get our person elected. Doesn't matter. Even if there's just 50 people, 100 people, you can still become an influence there as long as that small number is united and you approach the officials, elected officials, maybe in a member of parliament, maybe a provincial legislature, or maybe a school board trustee or the municipal corporator. You can be of influence. And as I said, we have an example in Canada that has been successfully done. Hamadia community, you can do that. Lobbying, as I already mentioned about the lobbying, that without the advocacy, without the lobbying, again, numbers, I keep coming back to that, numbers doesn't matter. If we have big numbers, it is good, great. That shows us a lot of potential, a lot of things that we can achieve, but unless we get engaged, we can't do much. And one of the ways of engaging the community is through various cultural activities. Like I have hosted Diwali on Parliament Hill, I have hosted Hindu Heritage Day on Parliament Hill. Now that I got a motion passed that every November is declared as the Hindu Heritage Month. Those are in fact, those are the kind of opportunities, occasions we can use to bring in influence, because number one, we have to use these things to increase the awareness amongst the general population about what Hinduism is, what Hindu culture is, what Hindu heritage is. Still people are not aware. And it's not an easy process, let me tell you that. Last year I raised the Hindu flag for the first time on Parliament Hill. And two groups representing two different religions, they came after me. They organized a heavy lobbying against me raising a Hindu flag. It was almost unimaginable. I mean, I knew there would be resistance, but I did not expect the amount of resistance I faced. However, I and the community, we stood firm. We did it again this year. This year there is no murmur, at least not that I have heard in the last couple of weeks, a few weeks that we did it. Because last year when the opposition came, hundreds and hundreds of emails to the Prime Minister that you have to take action against Chandra. Chandra is a Hindu fanatic, Chandra is representing the Hindu paramilitary organization in Canada. Hindu is bringing Hindutva, the negative aspects. So every imaginable argument was made against me last year when I first raised the Hindu flag of Parliament. But this year it is not. That does not mean the opposition has gone away. The opposition is still there. The opposition will continue. But we need to create awareness. You must have recently heard the allegation that some agents of Indian government killed one Canadian citizen. let's not go into the details of who's the person who got killed, whether the Indian agents did it or not. I always use every occasion that comes to use it to educate Canadians. In fact, when this thing blew up, it was a very, very major issue in Canada because most Canadians who don't know anything about India, Hindus or Sikhs or India, they all became engaged because a Canadian citizen was killed. They all became engaged. So that is a negative thing for India. However, I use that opportunity to educate all members of parliament, all senators of Canada on the various issues. Not my views, not my opinion, but I use respected Canadian voices, intellectuals, what they have said about the issue. In fact, I brought two particular arguments to the forefront of all the MPs and senators. One was one very highly respected journalist wrote in the biggest newspaper in Canada, Global Mail. And this journalist is not a friend of India. Trust me, he's not a friend of India. He's not a fan of India. But he did wrote, right, the fundamental problems in Canada we have is that the Canadian politicians of all political parties, we go to places where the terrorist incidents are celebrated, the terrorists are glorified, and but still the Canadian politicians go. He said that was the fundamental problem, and this is the quote I took from him and presented to all MPs and senators. The second, one of the organizations that have been very actively working against India, that I don't care if they are working against India, but they are also working against Hindu Canadians. That's the WHC organization. And one of the guys, when WHC organization was founded quite some time back in New York, I know my time is up, I'll just wrap it up. And we can just go to it. I don't think there's anything for me to. When the WHC organization was set up, there's one gentleman, even now, who is very active in the Khalistan movement in British Columbia in Canada. He said, they call Hindus our brothers, but I will not rest till 50,000 Hindus are killed. And this again quote I took from a very highly respected journalist, Terry Clary, who reported from Punjab during the height of Khalistan movement, who still writes, writes a bit about Khalistan, but mostly about the Jewish Canadians he writes. So I posted it. And trust me, many MPs and senators did tell me, Chandra, we did not know any of these things. So everything, every crisis is an opportunity for us to create awareness. And we can use various things, building coalitions with the Armenians, Ukrainians. If you don't mind, I will take 2 more minutes. Ukrainians is one good example that we can learn from. Canada is a big supporter of Ukraine in the war between Russia and Ukraine. You know why? Ukrainian Canadians are a big political force in Canada. Very strong political force. That's the reason why every single political party has almost got the same policies towards Ukraine. And you can build alliances with them. And the home country, whenever we talk, I just mentioned in my opening remarks that most of us are from India. We have the fondness, but in countries, in Western democracies, like I don't know about Australia, but certainly I can tell about Canada, that we should not always assume that every Hindu is from India. The people who have gone to Guyana, Trinidad, 150 years back, etc., they have the fondness for the country from where they have come to Canada, and we have to respect that. That is something we have to be aware of. The last one is that I did touch upon this, that is very difficult to have one unified community organization, but as I said, doesn't matter whether we speak Kannada, Gujarati, Bengali, or whatever the groups we are from, we can be effective in the local communities wherever we are. And the transnational networks like the one which we are having today, they are very important. They are very important too. And it's a long-term commitment. Obviously, we all know, as I said, I did not speak about Hindus or anything in the parliament for the first 6 years, but 7 years. But last year, when the bill was introduced in Kenyan parliament to ban swastika, that was the tipping point for me. I said, no more sitting quietly. We have to fight this publicly, and that's when I started. And thanks so much. Lot of fun and support to your side. Now we are ready for questions.
Just before questions are being asked, just a number of rules. Please make it short, succinct, and ask one question at a time. And secondly, I please request all questions to be in English because our panelists do not know how to respond in Hindi.
Okay, there's.
Namaste. It's truly inspiring to hear the chairperson and panelists. I am from Bhutan originally. I am a former refugee, now settled in the United States of America, and I represent here the Global Business Hindu Organization along with 30 members.
ยกหมดเลยยังมืดเนาะ
My question is to the Honorable Member of Parliament. Your presentation really touched my heart and inspired me so much. As a new Canadian who went to that country in an age when you are in a growing age and involved with the politics and you develop such a great status. Now you are the Honorable Member of the Parliament. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the people of Canada and the government of Canada for accepting the Buddhist Hindu refugees to resettle in Canada. We still have over 7,000 refugees in the camp, and their problem is not resolved yet. I'd like to ask to the Honourable Member of the Parliament from Canada, can you please raise this issue to the Parliament so that the Parliament, in a long-term solution of these Hindu refugees are resolved. Thank you so much.
Quickly, two things. I give my example whenever I go and meet a lot of community leaders across Canada is that I tell about myself, not to boast what I have achieved, but to tell them if I can come to Canada 19 years back and within 8 years or 11 years of landing there, become a member of parliament with no mentor in business, no money, no political mentors in any political party. I was not even a member of a political party till 1 year before I got elected. So if I can become that, you can do that, and more importantly, I tell them please encourage the youth in the community to start getting involved, understanding the electoral process, getting involved in the political side, getting involved in the advocacy thing, so that we will have more number of people up on the parliament here in Canada and elsewhere too. On the question of accepting refugees, Canada is one of the best countries accepting refugees compared to anybody in the world on per capita basis. We are a small country with just around 38-39 million population, but per capita we accept more number of refugees than anybody else in the world. I know you are advocating for Bhutan, people there, etc. We have got people from there, as you rightly pointed out. But let me be one thing I've been very sometimes brutally honest, I should say. I will do the same thing here. I hear the same request from people from Ethiopia, same request from people from Palestine, same request from people from Yemen, same request from people from Ukraine, same request from people from Sri Lanka. So we are doing our best. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to get more number of people from Bhutan, but however, we will continue to advocate. Again, if the people make, sometimes they say that the squeaky wheel get the grease. If the community advocates more, then they will get more recognition. Yeah.
Namaste, I'm Neena from Chicago. It was wonderful to hear your success stories. My question is, do you see any special challenges for Hindu women to participate in politics in your countries? Or do you have some pointers for them to actually help in this process of strategically positioning Hindus in Western democracies?
When I talk about Hindu women, actually I'm very passionate about it. I was born Hindu, my parents raised me as a Hindu, but my values comes from the Hindu women, my three sisters. I'm thankful for them for teaching me the values so strongly, the Hinduism. So Hindu women, it's not hard or difficult specifically for women or men. It's on the basis Hindus, it's difficult. Because we saw the most common thing is united. We don't vote as a block. We don't work as a block, where other communities do. So, in a way, I see the challenge is the participation, less participation by Hindu women in the political circles. The more the participation, the greater participation, our chances are much stronger. And there will be actually, I think Hindu women will be received more friendly than the Hindu men, on a sense, because they can articulate well. I have to take, probably I'm going to get a hit from all the men here. They can articulate well and they can tell the stories with a stronger emotion coming from the Hindu women. So I think the participation is less. I think that's where we need to fix. They have to get out more and get engaged with policymakers and start getting involved in the boards and positions where the policies are made for all.
Canada, I can say that obviously we need more women in politics, especially Hindu women. Almost it's close to nil at the federal level. It is nil at the federal. We have got one. We have got one who is also a minister. She was born outside of India. But Hindu women are getting more and more involved in various advocacy. That's a good sign. For example, there's a movement in Canada against Hinduphobia. That movement is led by one Ragini Sharma. She's doing wonderful work there. And there are various organizations women are stepping up, but in the political side, it is still very low. Hopefully, the next generation women, they will be stepping in. That's my hope. Coming to the political staffers, there are a couple of thousand political staffers on the Canadian Parliament Hill. There are only 2 Hindu women among the political staffers. I can show you hundreds of political staffers belonging to Muslim community, belonging to Sikh community, belong to other community, but when it comes to Hindu political staffers, there are only 2 women. So I think there's a lot of things. I see certain Hindu community leaders in the audience here from Canada. I will punt it to them that I tell them it is your responsibility to make sure that our women get involved at the grassroots level more and more.
Thank you very much. It's Mrs. Chakula Transi from South Africa again. But I just wanted your opinion from your own experience, not only in terms of your own party, but even other political parties in the country. And this is with regards to political party funding. And now in South Africa, we know for a fact that there's a thing called state politics. State politics means that if you don't have money, you can't get into politics. And that means that for women, especially, you have to have a funder. Otherwise, you just have to work hard and you can fund yourself. But a lot of funding for non-Hindu women and men come from business chambers. And you will find business chambers that are mainly Christian run and Muslim business chambers. Very seldom you even have a functional Hindu business chamber. And positions are bought. And people are put into strategic positions in political parties, in the civil servant, even you're speaking of policy makers. Maybe the event is they don't have to stand for election, but if they want a position for a policymaker or regulator or whoever, these positions are all paid for. And that's how some of them can get whatever they want. And until we don't start doing position sponsorships, then we're not in the game, I can tell you that. And I think state politics is the way the world is going, and we have to think very clearly about that in all our different countries of the world. Thank you.
Okay, on political financing, I can tell both of the strong points and the weak points we have in Canada. The best is that in Canada, even if I raise $1 billion, I can't spend it. We are very, very strict in the amount that we can spend. Like in my riding, I can spend $120,000. So even if I raise $1 million, I can't spend it. That's a good thing. The weak point we have is that Hindu communities, they don't cut checks for political candidates. I have no problem in getting, because I work in the community, beyond the Indian community too. I went to my personal friends for 3 elections I won, and all the 3 elections I've just gone to my personal friends, asked them to give me $400 each, because our system gives them back $300. So if somebody are willing to spend $100 on me, $100 for me, they can give me $400, they'll get back $300 from the government. And another good thing in Canadian system is that no corporate body can donate money. No company can donate money, no business can donate money. Even a millionaire can maximum donate $1,700 only. So that is the beauty of the system. But the same thing is a problem when you don't have many number of people not willing to cut checks. So that, I think, is going to be a problem, especially for newcomers into politics to raise money. Somehow for me it has not been a problem. My personal contacts have helped me out. But I can tell you, other communities, why Pakistani Canadians, though they have 300,000 in number, they have about 4 MPs, why the Sikh MPs, there are 11 Sikh MPs, though they have just 770,000. Why Jewish Canadians have got 8 MPs when they have just 300,000 in population? Is because their community donate. When they candidate, when any members of the community step up to become a candidate, they donate. They have got a culture of donating to political parties, and that is one of the greatest strengths. And in my view, as a sitting MP for this my 9th year, that is one of the weakness in the Hindu community, at least in Canada. I don't know about Australia or other places.
It's pretty much the same. The funding laws are different in different countries. In Australia, the donations in some states are different to the federal donations. I think our community doesn't outwardly donate to our for political campaigns. But now I see in Australia it's changing, because now our community is much more settled. They're starting to have the capacity to donate, whereas the other communities, without naming any particular religion, whether they have capacity or not, it's a part of their system. They have to go to their religious center. All they have to do is they just have to go to their religious institutions, and then they say they are practicing, and all of them put the money together, which is missing and lacking in our religious like temples, mandirs, or organizations, which is lacking. But now I think individually, Hindus from the community backgrounds are starting to come forward to help and support the Hindu political aspirants and see a positive change in that. But there's a long way to go for us.
Namaste all, Dr. Anastana from Melbourne, Australia. Lovely talks, all of you. Thank you. So, being a third generation Hindu myself, growing up, what was frustrating was how decentralized our Samaj was, but it is its strength as well. And what I'm understanding in Canada, what you mentioned, is how the Ahmadiyyas, being 50,000 in numbers, are influential. One thing I think you did really well is explain there's something called political literacy. People would not understand what is lobbying, what is being influential, they just think become an MP or a representative. And secondly, about the political staffers. So I guess the 2 questions to you are, number 1, with our decentralized society effectively, what communication channel can we use to increase political literacy at the grassroots level, and then we can connect everyone. And number two, I'd be very interested to hear about the history and how the Ahmadiyyas became so influential with their small numbers.
Excellent question. The one I'm trying to do in Canada is that at the end of the day, there's no magic wand. You can't say that, oh, let's use social media to mobilize. It doesn't happen. Let's use a newsletter or let's use temples. It doesn't happen. My thing is that we have to do the grunt work of actually going and meeting as many small groups as possible to educate them. However small group, even if it is just few dozen people in some place, is there impossible if I'm going there and go try to get. It's a long drawn process. We can't use the same model used by Ahmadiyyas because Ahmadiyyas, the small community, they have their own separate mosque, and that is the route they take to influence because few leaders got enlightened on the political process. They tell the community, one of the beautiful ways they do is that come election time, they have set up a group of people to volunteer in as many campaigns as possible. They come to my campaign, a group of 7 or 10 people, or Chandra, today and tomorrow we'll work for your campaign. They work. After that, they go to another campaign. So once we are elected, once an Ahmadiyya community leader calls us, Chandra, we want a meeting, they will immediately get one. And that is the way they do. However, we are slowly changing in our Hindu community too. I've been telling, even if you are just 200 people in a particular constituency, don't worry. If 100 of you write a letter to your elected official and ask for a meeting, he or she will accept. If you ask alone, they will not meet you because they are all busy. But if a group of 100 people write and say that we want to have a meeting, he or she will accept. And once they accept the meeting, then we will start working and getting influence. That is the only way. It's hard work, grunt work, it's a long-term thing. And as many community leaders involved with it is better.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. For that part, the two questions are actually remain questions. See, first of all, political staff, as I'll say, it's the same goes to Australia as well. There's very, very less number. I don't know the exact numbers, but I can say probably 2 or 3 political staffers I see in the Parliament House, including myself, from the Hindu community. So the reason is us. I didn't want to be a political staffer. I had a very successful, flourishing business. I didn't want to leave that business. And being a political staffer is really, really taxing. It's a long hours, less money, like it's a government wages, and it's full time, but it's like 24 hours job. And you can't make everyone happy because it's always there is someone upset. So it's a very difficult job to be in. So that puts us out. But if you see the other communities, they want to be the political staffers. When I want to get going with this job, I just have to see there's so many people dying to get involved there. So that's lacking with us, our own self. With regards to Ahmadiyya community, they are doing very well in Australia as well. What our dear MP said just now, they volunteer. It's not only Ahmadiyya community, if you also see Sikh community. Everyone regards them very highly, and rightly so. Any pandemic, any crisis, they are there with a van, food truck, they are donating. If you see whether Hindus are donating, we actually donate more. We are also, every pandemic we are there. We donate food parcels, we are going out and helping. But we don't promote ourselves from that side. We don't, like our community doesn't go and celebrate this, but their community celebrates, like if one organization does that, it's widely celebrated among their community. But our community, okay, he has done that, fantastic, let's just move on. And we don't market ourselves better as well and volunteer to all political parties. We don't do that as well. So I think we have to get involved in that.
Okay, they said time's up. Last question, one question.
My name is Srinivas Nadi from Washington DC.
Right. Okay, I'll come to you. I'll come to you. Please let him ask that question.
Please the mic, please.
No, they can't hear your question. That's the problem. Let them finish it. Okay, please.
Yeah, my name is Srinivas Nadi from Washington DC. Brother already covered 75% of my question, but my last few elections I did a campaigning, whether it is a school board or delegate or senator. The turnout in the Indian community, the voting is very less, very less. And in the national elections, they're going to look into that what community, who is voting, they're going to look into that, how we can improve it. You already answered a couple of ones, if that is my question earlier.
Okay, one thing, okay, I'll quickly answer before I come to you. You can also address you too. One thing I tell, sometimes as I said, sometimes I'm brutally honest. When I meet our community people, I tell them, you guys go to work in the morning, come back home and switch on the TV. Not to listen to local news, listen to the channel from whichever country you are coming from. Ask them who's the MLA of the town you came from India, they know it. Who is the corporator of the village or small town you came from, they know it. They know everything that is happening in India or Guyana or whichever country they come from. But ask them who's the city councillor for your ward in Ottawa or in Edmonton or in Vancouver. Many times they don't know it. And there's no solution to that, but the only thing we have to encourage. However, the turnout, at least in Canada, is good. In my constituency, 70% turnout is there, which is pretty good, but not in every single election. Other levels of the government, when the election comes, the turnout is quite low. Okay, sir, last question for you. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, I know the lady here. She had from. Okay, no, we'll give because I remember that you first put up your hand. She was the first one to put up her hand, and we never gave the opportunity. Please, we'll talk on the issues that you raised later.
My question is to the Honorable MP. My name is Richa and I'm from Scottish Hindu Foundation. We've launched a project called Democracy Works. It is really to bring grassroots level Hindus to come into politics, educate, awareness. The question I have is, I see a lot of similarities between Scotland and Canada in the way that both are left-leaning countries, immigration laws, quite a lot of similarities. Khalistan issue, there's quite a lot of things that are common. Another thing that's common is the vilification and stigmatization of Hindus. So much so that in Scotland, anyone who's talking for Hindus coming to a podium like this very likely will be branded as right-wing, fascist, all the adjectives. How did you sort of navigate that before you came and reached the point that you have? And do you still encounter it? Thanks.
Oh, very much, every single day. One way I deal with it is that I don't react to it. I don't read it. I don't read lots of comments that come on my social media. People tell me, Chandra, there's a big campaign going against you based on this tweet of yours. I don't read what people are talking about because we have to develop some thick skin. But in addition to the social media, in real world too, it started for me in 2018 when I hosted the first Hindu Heritage Day on Parliament, on Canadian Parliament, in Canadian Parliament. That was when a lot of the groups, they woke up and they started campaigning against me. Whatever the groups they have, the religious groups, etc., they started campaigning against me. That continues today. So one thing is, we have to develop thick skin. We have to have thick skin to be in politics, and that continues. However, small change is happening in the last 24 months in Canada. The community people are waking up. As I said, especially since last year when we hosted the Hindu flag on the Canadian Parliament, there was a massive backlash against that, against me. then the community started speaking up. That gave courage to other people. For me, it doesn't matter, but it gave courage to so many other people to stand up and talk. And that as community as a whole rising up, I think that's the best solution. Okay. Okay, this is the last one.
Thank you, sir. My name is Kumar Rakesh. I'm from Delhi. I'm journalist basically, part of the WHC. So my question is just concurrent, just to update our community who are sitting here and on the world. What is the status of Hindu community in Canada after the statement of PM Trudeau, and whatever is a so-called movement is going on? Palestine recently, the so-called leader, I use the word so-called leader, released a statement, no one go on the area on 9th November, whatever the failed by the government of Bharat and whatever. So just as you are officially associated as a Hindu leader also, and just how feel, how control, how is it going on? That's my input. Thank you.
See, Canada is a democracy. Like every other democracy, that is the strength of the society, but it's also the weakness of the society. The weakness for political parties, politicians, is that we have to get re-elected. And to get re-elected, every political party will see where the vote bank comes from. And it happens in India, it happens in Australia, it happens in Canada, I think it happens everywhere. If there are, if only you are all the voters, if 1/3 of you got one particular stand, I vote them, because they are a sizable minority. So that is happening in Canada too, because there was no voice for the on behalf of Hindu Canadians, whereas the voices of the various communities, I gave the example of Ukrainian Canadian community or the Ahmadiyya Canadian community, their voice is quite strong, so they get the political recognition, their interests are represented by the political system. So because there was nobody advocating on behalf of Hindu Canadians, obviously there was nobody interested in working for the interest of Hindu Canadians. So that is the reality in Canada. So there's nothing wrong there. If I was the leader of my political party, I would exactly do what our leader is doing, because that is to the advantage of my political party. So why should I blame somebody else? So alternatively, instead of blaming them, not doing what we want, let's see how we can influence them to take care of our interests. And that is what now the community is engaged in. Slowly, surely, as I said last year, as I keep repeating it, last year was the beginning of the new era for Hindu Canadians in Canada. And it is already shown results. We still have a long way to go. This tension between Canada and India, because one Canadian citizen was killed by agents of Indian government as being alleged. That has brought the Canada-India issue to the forefront. That has also brought the sort of insecurity among Hindu Canadians, because in the last 24 months Hindu temples were being attacked. Six for Justice Council Pannu openly said that Hindus go back to India is a hate crime, publicly recorded hate crime. So the community has started reacting to it. So now that the reaction is there, that is Hindu voice is getting heard, and that will get translated to the political system also aligning itself with the legitimate request of the Hindu Canadian community. Thank you so much. Okay, I have to summarize 3 points. I made a note. One is that to be effective, globally, to position ourselves as a significant force in the global political sphere, one is organize ourselves at various levels. various levels, including the elected side of the politics and the advocacy side too. The second is advocacy is required again at all levels of the governments on all issues that are of interest to them. That's equally important as getting more number of Hindus getting elected to various political positions. And the third is the same thing. The organized advocacy leading to more representation is always the best thing. So this is the thing I think I can summarize. Thanks.